Yeah, hello to everyone. This is Dr. T.S. Sreenivas, working as Associate Professor in Department of CSE. And today I'm going to discuss about database management system. So these are the core objectives of the database management system. Understanding the fundamental concepts of DBMS and DBMS architecture, analyzing the DBMS normalization techniques, and develop SQL queries and manipulate the data effectively, demonstrate knowledge of transaction management, where we are going to discuss about the ACID properties, atomicity, consistency, isolation, and durability. And we explore the advanced database concepts such as distributed databases, NoSQL, and data warehousing, and apply DBMS concepts for solving the real-time problems in the modern database tools. The course outcomes are explain the basic concepts of DBMS, evaluate the database models. We are having different types of models. Apply the architecture of the database and design the database models using ER diagrams. So this ER diagrams is the most important concept for analysis of the DBMS. So this is the syllabus unit 1. We discuss about the historical perspective, file system versus DBMS, relational models, different relational models. There we are going to discuss about the abstraction of the DBMS and structure of DBMS, data independence, and introduction to database design models, where we are going to discuss about the ER diagrams, attributes, entities, and different types of entities and different types of attributes. And entity sets, relationship and relationship sets, additional features of ER model, and conceptual design with ER model. So all these topics of unit 1, these are the basic topics. These are the basic topics for any DBMS developer to understand. So first, and coming to the textbooks, we are following Karth and Sudarshan. These are the standard textbooks, and these are the reference textbooks. Out of these two reference textbooks, first reference textbook is mostly useful for all the students of engineering college, and these are the reference links. So I'll go into the subject now. So what is database management system? It is a software that allows users to store, manage, and retrieve data efficiently. So what does it mean? Database management. If I discuss database management subject independently, defining the data is day-to-day data, that is the user data, or we can call it as summarized data, or any type of data you take. There is a database. DB stands for database, where we are going to store the data effectively. So where we are going to store the data? We are going to store the data effectively in the database. That means in DBMS, the database is nothing but a table which consists of rows and columns. So in the row side, we are going to define what are the attribute names that we are going to store the data. Like student, suppose I take a student. So student ID, student name, student roll number, student ID, student name, student address, and student email ID. So they are the rows. In that particular rows, we are going to store the data. For student ID, we are going to store different student. Every student is going to have one student ID, student name, student address, and student email ID, student phone number. So you can define any number of attributes for the students. So we define the database. The database is the collection of the data in a particular format. So what is that format? We are going to understand here. In SQL, the format here we are going to store the data is nothing but the database table. So what is management? Management is the process of performing some management operations like insert, delete, update, alter, different types of commands. So we are having data manipulation language commands for performing the operations on the database. And the database means here we are going to say the table. So each table, we are going to enter the record in the table. That means we are going to insert the data into the table. We are going to update the value of the data in that particular table, and also we are going to perform the modification. We are going to alter the table. Different operations can be performed on the table. And finally, what is a system here? System is nothing but it is a software. So what is the software that we are going to use here? The software that we are going to use here is SQL, Structured Query Language. So examples, we are having different SQL type, like MySQL, Oracle, and MongoDB. It is called as NoSQL and SQL Server, and these are all different SQL servers we are going to SQL language we are going to use in our particular database management system. So finally, I will define the database management system as a collection of interrelated data and set of programs to access the data. In order to modify the contents of the data, we are going to use the data manipulation language commands. Next, what is the need of data? What is the need of database management system? So, like we are storing the data in a file, when we are storing the data in a file, we are going to store the data about a particular employee. Two to three records can be stored in a particular table. Suppose we are using Microsoft Word, 2 to 3 similar records can be inserted. So, there is always a data redundancy. There is always a data redundancy because I am going to process only one type of data. So, what is the need for storing three same type of data? Three same type of data we are going to use, and we are going to call it as a sample data. So, unnecessarily we are going to use more space in order to process that particular data. So, there is always a inconsistency. So, whenever we are having a duplicate records, definitely there is an inconsistency of the data, because every time we are processing the three records which has got the same data type, same data is present and data type is same. So we are unnecessarily we are going to use more space in order to process that particular data. So there is always an inconsistency and difficulty in data access. Definitely there is a difficulty in the data access because the processing time will be increased, and also it's going to take a lot of time for the result to get. So there is a difficulty in data access, and definitely there is a lack of security. When we are storing the data normally in Microsoft Word, our data is not secure. So that means I'll be discussing about the file management and also discuss the differences between the database management system and file system. So finally, we can say that the database management system is going to overcome it is going to overcome and is going to provide an efficient data management protection techniques when we are going to use DBMS. Now, what are the components of the DBMS? Coming to the components of the DBMS, we are having the hardware, we are having the software, we are having the data collection. We are having the data collection, that is a related information. So related information means here we are going to discuss about the employee table means we are going to have the information about only the employee. So employee ID, employee name, employee salary, all the related information, that is what is called as the data. And finally, we are going to discuss about the different database users. Like the database users are the developers, the users, and the database administrator, who is going to take the total control of all the database and the people who are using the databases. Then we can define different types of users as naive users, unsophisticated users. So that we will be discussing, and what are the procedures we are going to follow in our particular database. So the database management system is having some procedures where the rules and instructions are given for the database management. So what are the different functions of DBMS? Data storage retrieval. Functions of DBMS here I am going to discuss. So these are all different functions of the DBMS. Like first I will discuss about the data storage retrieval. So where the data is stored and how the data is retrieved, and what are the different columns you are going to update. So all these operations can be used by SQL commands. So data is stored in the table. So first we create a table. So create table name. So when you create the table name, what are the attributes that you are going to enter into the table? That attributes are going to be given with attributes followed by the data type. Attributes space data type. So we define a primary key. So primary key is a constraint. So what is a primary? Which particular column? So student, suppose I am taking employee table. Employee ID is a primary key. So we define a primary key with employee ID. So primary key should be definitely followed by not null. primary key, not null. So employee ID is a primary key and we define it as a primary key. Then we give the space, then we give not null. So primary key is a single word. So we create a table. So data is stored in the form of the tables. What is there in the tables? In the tables, the attribute names are there along with the data types. The attribute name is there along with the constraints, the primary key, and the data retrieval. So what is the command used for data retrieval? So we have stored the data, we have created one table, we have inserted 4 records. Then we say select star from that particular table. Select star from table name. Then we give a semicolon. So what does it give? It gives the name of, it retrieves the total inserted data into that particular table. So the column names will be there and the data will be retrieved from that particular table. And we can update the contents of the data. So this update is a DML command. This data storage and data retrieval we can use using the SQL commands. Okay, so next, user access control and security. So user access control, for each and every user, we create a database. So create database name, right? So create a database is a command use, create database name. So one database will be created. So we want to enter into that base, into the database. So you say use database. So use database name. So I will enter into the database name and now I can perform all the operations like creation of the table and alter the table, update the table. So here the user access control is there because for each and every user a database is created and definitely there is a security, right? So we can provide the security to that particular user. So there is a backup and recovery. This is most important function of the database. So every day to day, we are having more number of transactions. Suppose I go to the railway reservation system. So day to day, we are having many transactions. Hourly, we are having transactions. So hourly transactions are possible. 6 hours transactions report can be taken. 12 hours transaction report can be taken. 18 hours transaction can be report taken. 24 hours transaction can be report taken. So we can have a backup. So suppose I lost the data at 6 hours. So we can, before that there is a backup. From that backup we can restore the data, right? So database management system is having all these important functions. We can take up a backup. We can recovery from that backup. We are having different backup and recovery techniques where I am going to discuss in unit 4. And data integrity and consistency. So by doing this, using this database management system, we can integrate the data integrity is possible and the data consistency is possible. Consistency is here. Suppose we are having 2 accounts A and B. We are having 2 accounts A and B. And A is having a balance of 100 rupees and B is having a balance of 200 rupees. From A, I am deducting 50 rupees. From B, I am adding 50 rupees. So consistency is maintained. How the consistency is maintained? The balance of A is 50 rupees and B is 250 rupees. So before the transaction, the balance is 300 and after the transaction, the balance is also 300. So we can maintain the consistency of the data by using this particular database management system. And the concurrency control and the transaction management. These two are the most important concepts of the database management system. Concurrency control, here we are going to discuss about the schedules. And we are going to discuss about the serializability of that particular database. So these are the most important functions of the DBMS. Next, we are going to understand what is the DBMS architecture. So generally, we are having 3-tier architecture DBMS. In the first tier, we are going to understand only about the users. So what are the database users? Database users are those users who are regularly operating on the database. So each and every user is having a login and password, and the user is going to enter with the login and the password in order to access the particular data, right? So we can go to the railway reservation system where one person is sitting sitting with the computer and he is having a username and password. Immediately he will enter the username and password. He will enter into the system that was defined for him. So he will book the tickets for us. So it is a user level management. So each and every user is having the username and password. Next is sophisticated and unsophisticated users. So who is a sophisticated user? So in a organization, we can say that for each and every user there is a head. So there is a project leader. Above the project leader there is project manager. So that particular project, so suppose one project manager is handling 4 different projects. So he is having 4 different project leaders. So for each and every project leader, he is having a team. So all the team members are going to report from the lower level to the middle level to the higher level, right? So for lower level, the username and password is given. For middle level, how many employees working in the lower level? All the users in the lower level are given grant and access permission from the middle level person. So above all these persons, there is a database administrator. So higher level authority is the database administrator who is going to grant permissions to the project leader, project manager, project leader, and is going to grant permissions to the lower level where users are present. Okay. So this is the hierarchy that is going to be followed when we are discussing about the user interaction directly with the database management. So the tables are created by the user, the manipulations are done by the user, the programs are written by the user in consultation with the middle level management, in consultation with the higher level. This is a hierarchy that is going to be followed in the one-tier architectures. Second one is two-tier architectures. We are having the application and database server. So all these operations which are done by the different users in a particular organization, these users are directly having the application software. Application software is provided, and this application software is accessed by all the low level people, middle level manager, higher level manager, and the permissions. Who is the database administrator is the main person here who is going to give different types of permissions to different users present in the organization, right? Lower level is going to give one type of permission, middle level is going to give one type of permission, higher level is going to give one type of permission. So whether any permission are given by the database administrator or not, all the databases in a particular organization are connected to the database server. Okay, so a particular, suppose project leaders are four project leaders are there. So we can divide, the database administrator is going to divide into 4 different servers. Each server, now one day one project lead is going to work on the finance project, one person on the shipping department, one person on the production department, one person on the manufacturing department, right? So each and every person is having a server space, where he is in total control of all the databases that are present in that particular server. So who is going to give the access to that particular person? 4 project leaders, access is given by the database administrator. Under him there are 20 to 30 team is working, 20 to 30 numbers of team is working. So different permissions are given by the database administrator. So tier 3 users, they are nothing but they are application server with the database server. So that is at the higher level, right? So we start with the tier 1, we start with tier 2, we go to the top level, which is the tier 3. level. Next, what are the different models of the database management system? So we are having a hierarchical model where there is a tree. Now tree under one person, like we discussed just now, under the project manager, there is a project leader 1, project leader 2, project leader 3 and project leader 4. This is a hierarchical model. So it is a tree-like structure. So under project 1, so 4 persons are working. Under project leader 2, 3 persons are working. Like that, we are going to develop a tree where we are going to call it as the hierarchical model. Next one is the network model. Now imagine that these 4 project leaders are working on a model which is common to them, right? So we can write that project leader 1 pointing, now he belongs to finance department. Now project leader 2, he belongs to manufacturing department. So one common module will be developed by this particular different project list. So he is in contact with the next project leader 3. Now he is working in finance department. He is in contact with the project leader 4, shipping industry. So finance is shipping. So it is a network model. That means in a network they are going to design a common model. So 4 different department people are going to design a common model, and all the permissions for these 4 different department people are given by the database administrator. So the network will be there in between them. So they are going to design a network model. So in that network model also we are going to use the database management system. Next one is the relational model. Relational model is very simple because it is going to have a table with rows and columns. Like we create table name, attributes. In that table we are going to insert the data. We are going to insert the data using insert command. So that is a relational model. So in relational model, we can discuss about different types of relations, like one-to-one model, one-to-one relationship is there, one-to-many is there, many-to-one is there, and many-to-many is there. So we'll discuss that. Then we are having an object-oriented model where for each table, an object will be created to access that particular data in that particular table. Suppose for employee, there is an object called as E. For a student, there is an object called as S. So normally when we write the queries, we are going to use the objects in order to access some of the data members which are common, which are present in both the tables, right? So for that, there is a object-oriented model is present. So next, what are the advantages of DBMS? The advantages of DBMS are, these are all different advantages, right? First one is reduce data redundancy, ensure data integrity. Data integrity, how it can be ensured? Just now I taken a example of A and B. Some amount is deducted from A, added to B. So the data integrity is maintained, because before the transaction, what is the balance? 300. After the transaction, the balance is 300. So we can maintain the integrity of the data. The consistency and integrity of the data both go simultaneously. So data redundancy is not possible. We can reduce the data redundancy, ensure data integrity, provide data security, and support multiple users and applications, many number of users, like we discussed just now. Different users are possible, one user from each department. They are interlinked through the network model. And next is the support multiple users and applications. So each user is working on a different environment in the database. One is performing DML operations, one is writing a program, one is writing a program for triggers, one is writing a program for procedures, one person is writing a program for procedures and functions. So all are integrated to that particular table. So we can allow the data sharing, like So that is the most important advantage of DBMS, and also easier backup and recovery. These are the different these are the different advantages of the database. So finally, the database management system versus the file system. So here these are the different features you can see. These are the different features that we are going to discuss, and these are the when we use a file system, when we use a DBMS. So first one, data redundancy. So data redundancy is definitely high in the case of a file system than in case of a DBMS, because in DBMS we are going to totally remove the data redundancy. If data redundancy is there, then definitely our table will behave like a file system. So the data redundancy concept is completely lowered. Then the security purpose, the security in the case of file, because anyone can access the file, and he can just take out the information from the file. But whereas in a DBMS, since we are providing security at different levels of the user, so definitely there will be more secure in the case of a DBMS. Then going up the backup is in file, it is a normal backup. So in database system, it is the automatic backup. So we create automatic backup. Here I want to tell about one important concept of DBMS, which is called as the table spaces. So in each table spaces, we can store maximum data. When the table space, it is dynamically created. The table spaces in database management system are dynamically created. So we can store more amount of the data. We can back up and restore also more amount of data. So definitely it is the automatic. So I created 4 GB of table space, 4 GB is completely filled. Then what I can take a backup, and immediately I can restore that particular 4 GB of data for further storage of the data. Then the data sharing, definitely the data sharing in case of a file system is very limited. Whereas in the case of DBMS, multiple users can be shared because we are in a distributed databases. So when we talk about the distributed databases, that is simple concept of databases where more number of users are going to be sharing your data. And querying the data in case of file system, it is very difficult. Whereas here, it is very easy with SQL, because we are going to use the select command. We are going to use select, which is a DDL language. Then we are going to use from, we are going to use the table name, select from table name. What you want to select? If I say select star, then it is going to select all the column names. So if I going to select, I will write like this, select student ID from student. So what does it mean? So we can select only the student ID. Suppose I want to select student ID and student name. So we can say select student ID, student name from student. When we do this, then 2 columns are selected. Student ID and student name will be selected. So like that, in your table we are having 4 or 5 columns. So you can write all the column names. Now I want to select all the columns. Then simply you give select star. Select star from student. Select star from student. Then you can select that particular column. All the columns you can select, or you can select one column, or you can select multiple columns. So the file system DBMS is having lot of advantages over the file system by this particular features of the particular DBMS. So finally we are going to summarize. DBMS is a vital tool for data efficient management by querying. How the efficient is done? By querying. It ensures security. The security will be provided by the database administrator for each users at different level. So where this databases is used, it will be used forever in different departments. Like I have taken only the banks, universities, hospitals, e-commerce and more. So we can apply the database management systems to different types of departments, government departments. So everybody, it is a backend tool, where front end tool can be any programming language. Backend tool is definitely the database management system. So understanding DBMS is key to mastering data driven applications. So because of this concept of retrieval of the data, querying the data, and manipulation of the data, writing different procedures and triggers, and definitely the database management system is going to play a key role in the data driven applications. So where the backend is the database and the front end can be any programming language. Front end can be any programming language. Thank you.